Om Namah Shivāya. Okay, now with light again after lunch. We'll continue with our satsanga, yes, with question and answers on my seminar of Parabhairavayoga scripture. I was saying before that Trika Shaivism, in my opinion, yes, many people can dissent, and it's valid too. Like Trika Shaivism is, especially Abhinavagupta's portion, it's not for this humankind right now. It's for people like me, or high, or at least scholars. It's not. It's for yogis with a lot of years, with a lot of capacity to meditate, a lot of knowledge. Without this, it's very difficult. Or higher, it's very difficult to understand. For example, scriptures by Abhinavagupta, Paratrishika Varana, for example, is absolutely terrible. It's great knowledge, but terrible didactics. It's intolerable. But he warns about this. Abhinavagupta is for advanced disciples and gurus. So, okay. But in general, his writings are like this, in general. So, because Abhinavagupta's literature by Abhinavagupta is so central in Trika Shaivism, yes? You cannot say, oh, I never read the Tantraloka, yes? You have to read the Tantraloka somehow, yes, at least one chapter. So it's very difficult for people, yes, such a tremendous, even for me, a scholar, it's difficult. Knowledge, yes, hard. It's not a novel. It's heavy knowledge. And with the style, I told you before that I dislike a lot, yes, style confusing. I kind of promiscuous. This style like promiscuous, like it's confusing, not going to the point. Or going to the point, but in his time, yes, the time of a god, yes. So you never understand what is the time, because your time is not late; it's another time. So I don't know. Start to go to the point later, before he beats a lot about the bush. Yes, so it's tremendous. For me, it's tremendous. Anyway, translate. I will continue to translate because people need this knowledge, but with massive explanation. Yes, to elucidate or elucidate. Elucidate or elucidate all the time with elucidate this teaching, yes. And anyway, even like this, sometimes no elucidate. Aha, it's not so simple. Elucidate or elucidate. So all these teachings, all these things. So that's why Parabhairavayoga is, I use Trika Shaivism, but I select portions. I cannot, force you to swallow, yes, big knowledge of Abhinavagupta from the start, for example, or a lot of knowledge, because it's terrible. It's terrible to you, yes. It needs an intellect you don't have, and knowledge and power and many things, and many secrets and many mysteries. So complicated. Even on Shiva Sutra de Marcini, yes, disciples start to collapse. So imagine Tantraloka. Adino Tantraloka Abhinavagupta, yes, I read some part of Tantraloka, I read. Abhinavagupta said that if a person reads all this Tantraloka and understand the meaning of this Tantraloka, get liberation. The price is hard. It's hard. And the style of Abhinavagupta from the Tantraloka, his great scripture, is rituals in the middle. So you are reading a ritual, yes. A ritual that maybe you will never do, but you have to read all the ritual. But why do I need a ritual? I don't know. He's like it. There is a reason, obviously, yes, but it's so unfathomable like him and so high that in practice it's complicated to a disciple. That's all. Or many things that it's difficult to explain because the commentary by Jayaratha, I stay with the other guy, Yogaratha. Jayaratha is not approved by the lineage. So Las Manas Yu made this point clear. Yes, the commentary by Jayaratha, the only commentary about the Tantraloka, is not authoritative. So in some parts, Las Manas Yu said, is brilliant interpretation, but other parts are misguided. And how to determine, yes, what part is good or part is bad. Yes, you need a man as you alive again, yes, to tell you. And so it's complicated. I couldn't get the please some help. Yes, the translation of Las Manas Yu of the full Tantraloga. I only had some glimpse of the first chapter. Some glimpse, I don't remember where. Maybe someone around. Maybe this disciple I have in Hungary bought this book, the first chapter only. But I need all the chapter with his interpretation to elucidate many portions. It's very complex. And if not so, if I translate, yes, I need only the help of Paramashiva. It's the only way to do it. Maybe I can do it, yes, but I respect the tradition, so I try to get some human help first, if I can get some help someday. And so I don't have to enter into trance and communicate, because if I say something that in trance he told me, yes, someone else can tell me, no, what is that interpretation coming from, or this or that, so it's better from the source. So what to do with? So you go to Tantrasara. I have Tantrasara. I read Tantrasara a lot. It's very complex. It's very complex. No, it's not for this humankind. It's not for you, for example. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's very complex. Yes, Tantrasara, the words, the creation, it's hard to understand. Very complex and very all the time moving around and every turn. His style. I personally dislike it. But some people love his style. Okay. Now, it's massive knowledge, yes, for sure. It's an encyclopedia. And good knowledge. But you have to suffer a lot to get the knowledge. Because it's like a milk with water. Yes, you have to be a divine swan to grab only the milk and remove the water. Well, and sometimes when I was translating Trika Varana, it's still not complete on the website. Sometimes only, yes. I was thinking, but what is this guy talking about? Next, after reading commentaries, after reading a scholar is commenting on this and that, I realized it's a meditative. But sometimes when you're translating, what is this guy speaking about? It's very high. It's very, when the master is very high, the disciple cannot follow him. So it's very common. So my Parabhairavayoga, I don't include a lot of Abhinavagupta. Obviously, many teachings are rooted in his teaching, but more Shiva Sutra, more Spandakarikas, more my own scripture, yes, more simple, yes, more, or liberation will never happen. Remember that in Parabhairavayoga, our main goal is liberation, not to study subtleties of the Tantra, yes, or the hidden stories of some hero in the Tantra. It's not our purpose, our purpose, our goal, aim. It's liberation. After that, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you have time to study. I don't know, all the subtleties and the lineages and this, but what you want now is liberation. So I need to provide some scripture with some abridged knowledge and direct, only for liberation. I was reading an author. It was very funny. This author is about the history of Trika Shaivism, saying that protesting is about the disciples of Abhinavagupta, because Kshemaraja never, if my memory serves me well, Kshemaraja never comments directly on any Abhinavagupta scripture, yes, on any of the scripture of his guru, which is very strange. Very strange. So imagine, no comment and no elucidation. It's very strange. So this historian, or this yogi historian, I don't know how to call him, said, instead of this disciple of Abhinavagupta, yes, instead of being the whole time enjoying the nectars, plural, yes, the nectars of liberation, yes, they should try to shed some light, yes, on the writings of their master, yes, please, yes, what did they do? It's really, because they got liberation, they start, all the time like this, enjoy, yes, all the time, absolutely. But nobody, okay, stop liberation, stop the nectar, yes, start to write something about what the teacher meant, yes, by all this, the complication now. They have many problems to understand this, many problems. But it's necessary to know all this? No. You don't need to know the four schools of Shaivism in depth to get liberation. No. With only one school, Spanda is enough. In my case, was enough for liberation. So you don't need all these mass. But people run away. They face all this. Even this teacher, they run away sometimes. Yeah, because it's 92 aphorism. I is 92, but 5,000, 3,000 the Tantra or more. You say, what will you do? Oh my gosh, no. Intolerable.
Why do you write so difficult things?
Ask Abhinavagupta. Ask. He's merged into Madhamachipa. Ask him. According to my own findings, my own discoveries, that part is on purpose. That's why he scattered the knowledge in many scriptures. He never puts all in one scripture. Never. So you are forced to go to another book. Yes, what is for you is bad news. But you have to read another book like this. Yes, you don't want that. Personally, I don't want it. But I have to do it. For knowledge you need. Because he mentioned something, this knowledge, that you have to go to. And second, because his style. I don't know. Maybe he was in trance all the time and writing like this. Well, I don't know what is it. Add massive knowledge. The combination and lack of the didactics. So the combination is lethal. That's why the beginners call him Shesha, yes? Snake. Fear. Yes? Imagine the guy, I don't know, say something, a summary of the Tantras yes, in 1 hour. Something. It's crazy. All the Tantras in Sanskrit. Not in Aya's transliteration, nothing. It's pure Sanskrit, the Vanagari, and what to do. So, but do we need a massive teacher like this? No. Because it's for great disciples. Very great. So great that it's great. Another time. When the teacher is very big, all the time, the future disciple, this master and future descendant, yes, in the parampara, have problem. Because the master is very great. So they cannot understand him. So next problem. Like problem with Abhinavagupta, yes. All the time we have to deal with this monster in the middle, and we need information, but we don't want to make the effort to grab the information because you have to fight massive knowledge and style and things. You don't want to fight this. It's complicated. Except you are masochist. You are masochist. And all the time with uncertainty, because now that the commentary by Jayarata is not approved, what else to do with Tantraloka? Yes, very complicated. The exact meaning of every term. So, well, this is the joy. But you don't need this for liberation. I didn't need Tantraloka for liberation. You don't need. What is this? Some music is not celebrating something. So this is the problem. Now we are speaking about upayas. Shaktopaya? Anupaya, but before, when we were speaking with before. Eh? No, this is before. Before now.
We were speaking is intellect required. Intellect required.
The bliss is felt in the intellect, in buddhi. Your buddhi is wrong because it has about the jnana. Yes, so it's not working well, it's not reasoning well. Bliss cannot land there. Yes, you experience little bliss maybe, but not full bliss. Your intellect has to work okay, or bliss is not massive. So upaya. So I mentioned all the upayas already, and I add the chanting and all this and some extra technique I can't remember later. What?
Once we leave the gross physical body, in the subtle body, intellect is also there.
Yes. You reincarnate. You don't reincarnate, no. Merge into Supreme. When you reincarnate, yes, you need. Ego is not a kill. Because all the samskara with ego. You need the samskara to reincarnate in another life, or no body will be produced. The body is produced from samskaras, are like the mold. of the body. Understand? So without samskara, you cannot have a new life, a next life in another body. So you need samskara. So ego is the pile of samskara. What is the pile of samskara? Ego. So ego cannot die. Only the body dies. But the body doesn't die because the body is already dead.
The liberated being, they don't have samskara. So how they come again?
The limited being, what?
The liberated beings, they don't have samskara.
No. They move to Siddhaloka, to the kingdom of God. Yes, any name put as of the higher tattvas. And they live there in Vadeha. They are Vadeha. They live in Bindu. Their body is the fourth body. Supracausal body. The Mahakarana Sharira in Sanskrit. The Sharira, the body of the great cause. Supracause.
So they are born without intentions.
Not all of them. Some supra. Some liberated being merge into Paramashiva completely. They don't want to return. According to my experience with my lineage and the thing that I share in my lineage, Muktānanda merged completely in Paramashiva 2 years after his death. This is what I heard at that time. So 1984, he merged completely into Paramashiva. So I never received messages from him directly, yes, like Muktānanda. I never saw this. Only one time I saw him, but when he was still in Siddhaloka. So between 1982 and 1984. After this, no. If someone tell me I'm the reincarnation of Swāmī Muktānanda, I don't believe it. Maybe I'm wrong, yes, because I heard wrongly, yes, but I heard this in my community at that time, in the community I was. And according to my experience now, after liberation, I can say that he's merged into Paramashiva. But there are some mysteries there that you cannot understand, even if I tell you. You got it? So only believe me. He merged into Paramashiva, but some movement there is. But for now, no, he cannot reincarnate. But you cannot understand it, it belongs to another realm. You are still in this realm. And how do I know that the merged into Paramashiva? Because when I mentally call for him, yes, the Shakti moves in a special way in my head. According to the movement, I know what is happening with him or with any saint. Shakti never lies. Shakti tells me the exact location or what is happening with him or her. But this is crazy thing about Jiva Mukta, so don't worry. It's impossible to understand it because it's difficult to say what is this. Okay. And what else? Bhagavān, yes, he can return. In my experiences, and I never heard about full merger into Paramashiva. Never. And I never experienced. But maybe he did it, yes. Because there are many hidden things, even to Jiva Mukta. Remember that Jiva Muktas are Shiva Tulya. They are inferior to Shiva, yet a little inferior, yes, because the body. So Videha Muktas are higher, without body. They are Shiva. That's why this subtle duality, sometimes when I say Shiva tells me something, yes, it's one with me, but at the same time he can tell me something because there is this very subtle duality because of the presence of the body. So full liberation is after that. Full. Without body. With the body, the unleash of the power cannot be full because kill the body. Very simple. But anyway, the body is dead. The body only undergoes a transformation, yes, from this to rotten matter, yes, but it's dead anyway. Because only the goddess is alive. So if the goddess is alive only in the body, yes, Shakti, the rest is dead. This is dead too. All this is dead. All that. It's a cemetery. It's a graveyard. All this. Only the goddess is alive. So the goddess cannot be sleeping, yes, and you awaken the god. You know, the goddess is awakening. It's awakened already. Kundalini is awakened. But what happens is that you don't realize that it's awakening. So it's not really awakening of Kundalini or awakening of Shakti. It's a awakening of your realization. Yes, you realize that she's already awake.
Guruji, how do you come to know about the jnana is reducing?
How
Someone will come to know about Bhagavad Jnana if the Bhagavad Jnana is reducing?
You're reducing because you start to reason well. For example, about the void. Yes, for example, if you have Bhagavad Jnana, you think, oh, the void is the highest reality. Yes, yes, like the Buddhists, they have Bhagavad Jnana. But when you realize that you are watching the void, so it's not the void because you are there. There is no real void because you are there all the time. So you realize that the one watching is higher than the reality being watched. So the void is not the highest reality. This is good reason. Or if you are a theist, when you reason well, you cannot be a theist because you can explain the origin of aham. I am. What is this aham coming from? I am. From the body? No. From comets? No. It's not material. How to explain this? I am. Even atheists have I am. Yes, that's why they say I am. I am a theist, but I am first. I am. So even to be a theist, they have to say I am. They cannot remove I am. Impossible. So what's the origin of this I am? You cannot be a theist because you will find God again. So the origin of this I am is me. So you are God. You are God. The origin of this I am is someone else or something else. So this is God. But you cannot be a theist. God exists. Next, you have differences about is coming from another place or from inside you. Yes, but God exists. You cannot escape because you cannot explain the difference with I am and without I am. The body dead without I am. The body alive with I am. What's the difference if the matter is the same? The body is the same, but why is dead and next alive and next dead? Why? I am. So it's not so simple to explain this. But if you are recalcitrant atheist and foolish, yes, you can say, okay, I don't care, it's like this. Okay, continue your stupid life. But if you are a deep thinker, you say, yes, okay, I'm atheist, but I have to think about this. It's I am. All the time I am. Even without pronouncing, you feel your existence. What is the origin of this existence? Yes? From some God or from me? From me. Okay, so you are Swayambhu. You are the self-existent, yes? Because you exist by yourself. So you are God. Or God is another dualistic viewpoint, yes? But anyway, God exists. One with you or separate from you, but exists. So you cannot remove God. That's why God is Purva Siddha. God is truth in the first time, in the first place. It's Purva Siddha. You cannot remove God. It's all the time proof. It's Siddha. In this case, Siddha is not perfected. It's proved. Yes, because two meaning for Siddha. Siddha is perfected being, yes, Siddha, or proved. So Purva is proof at the first place. In the first place. At first. Because if God is not proof, nothing can exist. If atheist included. Because they say I'm atheist, but I am atheist. Okay. Try to remove I am. Another mystery of I am. This I am is eternal. That's why you cannot remember one moment without I am. Cannot. You cannot remember one moment when you didn't exist. You remember? Because existence is constant. This is sat forever. So it's difficult to prove the origin of this. What is the origin? The nature of this. But if you are foolish, you have a wrong intellect, you say, okay, I don't care. And you continue like it. But you are a deep thinker, you have a good intellect, you start to reason and you have to abandon atheism, yes, because it's foolishness. You can have problems to define the exact nature of God, yes, but you cannot deny God, yes, because it's foolishness. You understand? Now, some atheists, they say that they are atheists because they don't believe in a personal God, like a human. Okay, in this case, it's accepted. God is not like a person. Yes, you can say no. What is a person? I don't know. If you do good thing, God will reward you. If you do bad thing, God will punish you. No, okay. Yes, my conception of God is like this too. It's not human. Karma is like this, rewarding you and punishing you, but God no. It's not human. Superhuman. So you tell me I'm atheist because I don't believe in the God of the religions in general. Yes, okay, understand. No religion, the Christianity. I don't believe in that God. Yes. Okay, it's acceptable. But don't use this atheist word, yes, because it's misguided. But next you have the morals. The morals are people that are ignorant, that they believe in God, but they cannot explain to an atheist why God exists. So they say, oh, God exists because a lot of stars, a lot of galaxies, a lot of comets, a lot of beings. So the atheists counterattack with the creation of all this only from matter, yes, materialistic origin. So the person doesn't have any other argument, other explanation. But you don't have to go to the universe, to the star, to the being, yes. Only this I am, yes, how to explain the origin of your existence. It's a mystery. And it's never moved. It's fixed. It's a rock. Remember Jesus Christ, when Jesus Christ said Pedro. Pedro means rock, stone, yes. In Spanish, piedra. Yes, piedra is stone, similar to Pedro. So Peter, no, English is far from a stone or far from rock. Pedro is Peter. On this rock, I will build my church or something like this. Yes, okay. Sorry, Christian, but I'm not a Christian. It's more or less I remember something. On this rock. But when he said this, he didn't mean the person, Pedro, because it's limited person. I cannot build my church on Nisha, you understand? Because Nisha is nothing. It's ridiculous. Or on you, Adam. It's ridiculous. No, it's on the rock in you. In this. You see? Don't watch my hand. Fix in the middle your eyes. Like this. This exists. You exist. This is the rock. Even if you are like this, the body, yes, continue to exist. Yes. Even kill, yes, continue to exist. This is the rock. This is Shiva. The witness is completely undisturbed. This is the meaning of Jesus Christ when say on this rock, yes, it's not on Peter, the person. This is miserable, yes. Varaka Jana is miserable person, yes. He denied Jesus Christ 3 times, yes, remember? No, I don't know Jesus Christ. This is a person. This is the nada. The garbage is nada. All the time crying, fearing. No, the rock is God in you. This is the rock. Shiva. Paramashiva. Yes. So when you feel bad, yes, so all is disaster, but here's all the time. When you learn and when you reach the point when you can feel this, you are reaching Shivahood. Even in the middle of scandals, even in the middle of any problem, even in the middle, yes, you feel bad like this, but all of a sudden, yes, this guy in you, yes, this rock, it's never altered. Can come an atomic bomb here, yes, and he continues. This is you. This is the real you. The rest, the mask, yes, all the time happy or unhappy, it's a joke. It's a joke by Shakti. It's a mask. So this is the rock, yes, the rock. Can't tolerate anything, yes, it's a rock. It's not the body. The body died, yes, but he continues and generate another body, yes. Your whole life, this was like this. Your whole life. He was never affected by anything. At the time of liberation, you realize this and you're amazed, yes, because full realization that you were never affected. All the time meditating on himself. Next, you ascend to Paramashiva. Yes, Paramashiva is not only this rock like this, yes, it's all this immanent in everything, yes. So you don't even have a position, how to explain it? Because Shiva is in the Shiva Tattva, transcendental, yes, watching. He's a witness because Shakti is putting something in front of him, not because he's a witness in himself. Shakti displays something in front of him, so he's a witness. By force, yes, by Shakti play. But he's there only, transcendental. He's not in the rest of Tattva, he's not in ego. He's there only. This is Shivahu. Next, when you enter Turyatita, this is the state of Turya. It's rooted there, yes. Next, in Turyatita, go a little more, yes, and you speak in Paramashiva. It's the aspect of Shiva, not only in the Shiva Tattva there, but permeating all the Tattvas and beyond. This is Turyatita is liberation. A fraction of a second in Turyatita liberation. Next, you return. When you return to the body, yes, Jivan Mukta, you stay in Turya. Yes, you stay like Paramashiva, but in Turya. You understand?
Shiva and Paramashiva both are the same.
It's the same guy, but in different aspects. You have many aspects, yes, well, Shiva too. It's the same. You have this aspect. Next, you have the aspect of wife, yes, now disciple, next wife, but many aspects. In his Parama, in his supreme aspect, Paramashiva, yes, he's everywhere. He's not a Tattva, or he's the Tattva zero, and beyond, because he has other universe for him, and one universe for the rest. This is unfathomable, and it's impossible to understand with your mind. It's experience. That's why when I was shown, yes, that I have a personal universe only for me, for my, apart from the universe, another universe, I couldn't understand at that time what is this, because I never read about this. What is to have a personal universe? No idea what that. I was so surprised. It's in liberation. Now I understand, yes, but at that moment I couldn't understand, because I never read any mention of this extra universe, only for his pastimes. So, understand? I couldn't understand at that time. So he's Shiva in the paramount, yes, in English, paramount aspect, like paramount aspect. But obviously he's Shiva. Is when Shiva becomes Paramashiva, yes, as it were, when his Shakti becomes completely free, Swatantra, completely free, yes, boom. When all the Shaktis are turning to Swatantra Shakti, all the Shaktis. So at that time, Shiva, as it were, yes, for you to understand me, transform into Paramashiva. The supreme aspect. And this Paramashiva is everywhere, in all the tattvas. He's in Shiva Tattva and he's in Prithivi Tattva. In all the tattvas. So when you pray, don't pray to Shiva, because Shiva cannot hear you. Pray to Paramashiva. It's strange, yes, because it's this technical difference in Trika Shaivism, yes, between Shiva in Tattva 1 and Paramashiva everywhere. But yes, Paramashiva is Shiva too. But Shiva is like, in this technical way I'm explaining, yes, obviously people will say Shiva, Paramashiva the same, okay. But in this technical aspect I'm explaining now, Shiva, technically speaking, is only in the Tattva 1. Paramashiva is everywhere. But it's very technical. So imagine that most people cannot understand this technical difference. So imagine Abhinavagupta, yes, and his subtleties about Tantra. It's only for great disciples, advanced scholar like me, for example. A scholar, a lot of years, accumulation of knowledge, can start to move. Oh, look at this, it's different. But most people know. Except I can summarize all the teaching somehow. Yes, so a big explanation, and we have to devote about 1 week every stanza. 1 week the explanation, so people can understand. But it's an encyclopedia. I can do it in the future, maybe. I will do about Pradīpaka Varana. I will kill someone. A big explanation, full. So, but will be with the seminar months to explain all this and all the consequences of every teaching. Okay. 10 final minutes of this second session of satsanga.
spirituality and the reflection of spirituality.
The reflection. The para Shakti. Because there are three Shakti in Trika Shaivism. That's why the name Trika, triple. Yes. Apara Shakti, Para Shakti, and Para Shakti. Para Shakti is supreme, beyond. Para Shakti is mixture, supreme and non-supreme. Mixture. And Apara Shakti is non-supreme. So in this theory about the objects and his reflection, yes, Bimba, the object, Pratibimba, the reflection, Vada, doctrine. The doctrine of the objects and his reflection. That is very celebrated in the Shaivism to explain this reality that is beyond human understanding. But we have to explain somehow. So this example is very good. It's like a para is like the mirror. Apara is the object. And para is the object. And apara is the reflection in the mirror. So para, the highest reality, para, supreme, is the object, the bimba. Being reflected where? In the mirror of para. And the reflection is apara, non-supreme. It's like the para, but reflect. So there is all the theory about this. Yes, you can read in Paratrishika Ivarana, Bhagavān, the most difficult Trika scripture. And I explained this when I was explaining the seventh aphorism of the second section of Shiva Sutras. It's on a video in my YouTube channel. I was explaining this with the Shiva Sutra number 7 of the second section, plus the explanation of Abhinavagupta about Malini and Matrika in Paritrishika Ivara. And there you can see the reflection of every letter, yes and this. That's why Prithivi reaches Shakti, because it's like the reflection. That's why it's so important Prithivi, because after Prithivi you have Shakti. That is all a good. There is a good graphic that Jayadeva Singh, this great scholar, yes, so celebrated scholar in Trika Shaivism, included in his book. Yes, about all the process of the reflection in a very didactic way for you to understand. So all the process of reflection, and then when it's reflected, so all the changes. Complex topic. One thing, para, you cannot attain para. Cannot reach para. You cannot say, oh, well, now I meditate to attain para. No, because para is soul. How to attain para? Is soul. So, it's Parabhairavayoga, it's the same. Para Shakti, the same. All is para. Śivāya is the same. You cannot attain the all. The all will attain you. Yes? The all will grab you. You don't grab you. But you cannot develop understanding of para, because para is established where? Pashanti. And Pashanti, this level of speech, yes, that is in the heart, as it were again, yes, as to speak. Parabhairavayoga is in the navel, yes, as to speak, because it's a way to explain the access to this level, yes, it's complicated. I will explain something later. It's complicated. And the heart Pashanti, but in what tattva Pashanti is established? Sadashiva tattva, Pashanti there. And if my memory serves me well, sorry, any mistake, in Ishvara tattva, in the fourth tattva is established Madhyama, yes, the mental reality. Yes. And Vaikari, yes, this reality in the tip of your tongue is established, the origin of this reality is in Satvidyata. If my memory serves me well, but it's so complex all this and so many interpretations that can be some dissent, yes, maybe. It's very easy to make mistakes in Shaivism because so many subtleties and opinions and interpretations. Anyway, in many aspects of Trika Shaivism, the word of Abhinavagupta is final. Understand? The opinion of Abhinavagupta is final. That's why we cannot dodge these big boys. We try to dodge, but it's difficult to dodge. And the difference between, this is the theory between the object and his reflection in a mirror or para. But it's approximate, because in reality it's not exactly like this. Why is the difference? Because Paramashiva is not an object different from the mirror. He's one with the mirror. So how to imagine that the object is one with the mirror and with the reflection is very difficult. But so this analogy with the zierkala, yes, in Russian, the mirror, yes, holds good only approximate way. It's not completely good, yes, because it's this kingdom of duality. It's very difficult to explain what is non-dual. But for you to start to understand, it's very good example, very good analysis. Okay, now break, and next we'll continue if power cuts permit. Power cuts permit us. It's our God, power cut. Paramachiva. Om Namah Shivāya. Om Namah Shivāya. Yes, the microphone is on. Okay. When speaking about, finish the topic. Yes, the reflection. Okay, question you wrote down.
Can you please explain a little bit more about Swatantra Shakti of Paramashiva?
Swatantra Shakti is the Swatantra Shakti. It's Ananda Shakti. It's the power of bliss. But in my experience, when you are in Shiva Tattva, how to explain this? Sorry. Changes the bliss. I can't explain what tattva because I never saw a sign yet with tattva one next. I never saw it in my meditation. So it's when you are with full bliss, yes, you are with full bliss, there is a moment when the bliss changes. You have bliss like orgasm, but it's not orgasm, but like Lamana just said, it's super sexual. It's not sexual, it's super sexual. So super is to say that it's beyond sex. But okay, for you to understand, it's like million orgasms. Yes? When you have this bliss, but this bliss is vibrant. It's Swatantra too, but not full Swatantra. But there is a moment when this bliss changes. And in my opinion, become full Swatantra. Maybe other yogis have another opinion. This is my opinion, my experience. They have changes. And this bliss that before was like not orgasmic, something like this for you to understand, becomes peace beyond human understanding. This is the definition, best definition. It's peace. It's bliss, but like peace, it's like escaping from a great danger or escaping from prison forever. Yes, or I don't know. It's a peace and the removal of a big burden on your back. Yes, that is intolerable bliss. And you have no problem. Finish all your problems. It's not that you are resolving a problem or coming another problem. No, there is no problem. No kritra, yes, kritra. No kritra, no problem. Kritra, yes? I'm confused. Don't care about anything. You live there forever, free. This is Shiva, Paramashiva. Where Swatantra changes. Swatantra, Shakti in him changes like this. I never heard about this or I never read about this so in such a detail, but it's more or less like this for you to understand. Kritra. Bad, miserable, evil. Being in a difficult or painful situation, but bodily mortification, a difficulty, a trouble, a hardship, a misery, calamity, a difficulty, a problem. Kritra. Okay. And in Swat, when you experience Swatantra Shakti, there is no Icha, no Jnana, no Kriya. Because, again, all of them, but you have to stop the camera, yes? No, I tolerate. Because for people to understand, this garment is dark. If I move the hands in a certain way, the camera thinks that there is low light. So immediately flashes, yes, auxiliary light, because the camera thinks. But the problem is never off the light, it's all the time on, yes, even if the sun is shining, the light is on. It's not very intelligent. So any dark thing in the middle, yes, I move the arms so the light. So it's bad for my eyes only, pestering, but I can't tolerate. The only way is to turn off the camera completely. And there is a pestering noise yes, near too, because there are some celebrations, you told me something, I don't want to specify, but some celebrations, some meeting there, so some loud speakers. Okay, I will try to remove, yes, with the software. So disappear, Icha, Jnana, and Yakriya disappear. They are transformed into Swatantra. So when you are in Paramashiva, you cannot say that you have Jnana or Icha, or you have Swatantra. With this, you have all. You know your desire, you feel fullness because you have will. You are full. Will is fullness, yes? And you can do whatever you want. So this is the state. So what are we doing here? Yes. Well, I don't know. In my case, a pastime. The pastime is elevating people. Yes, but it's a pastime because there are no people. I know. And but anyway, in this place there are people. They are watching all this story. I had to behave like I believe in the play, yes, so the play is great. And in your case, yes, you are getting liberation, so it makes sense like this. But you already liberated, so for what? It doesn't make any sense, it's only play, yes, even in your case, play. Because there's no liberation, because you're already liberated. We have to speak like this for you to understand and to have some structure in your mind and not to go nuts, yes, because what is this? So you have to speak with some consistency and coherence. Okay. We have 55 minutes. We have time. You have to stop. No, okay. But again, when I move the hands again like this, the camera how to stop myself. Okay. We'll stop this little video to stop this pestering light. Om Namah Shivāya. Om Namah Shivāya. Okay. Thank God we cut this for the camera, but because mini power cut also, we were safe on that power. Okay. So we're speaking about
Next question. Next question.
next question.
But in the other session, we told that we are already liberated. We are already liberated. So that so why do we why do we improve this all? So reading the scriptures, meditation, and this all stuff. Why do we do it?
In the scripture they say, for what we need a scripture, yes, what's the point of having a scripture? Is to study scripture if we're already Shiva. But there is a actual realization of this state? No. So it makes sense to study scripture and to write the scriptures. Because what's the point of writing the scriptures if everything is Shiva? Or read the scripture, write and read, yes, but because there is no actual realization of the state, it makes sense to read and write. So lack of realization. The difference between you and me, there's no difference, except that I realize. You don't realize. It's only this problem. Awareness. Lack of awareness. When you are Shiva, renouncing realization, and I'm Shiva, embracing realization. The chain between Shiva renouncing realization and embracing realization is liberation. It's you. One day you say, okay, now I accept. If now I don't renounce aware, okay, I accept. Don't renounce the realization, I accept it. So you're liberated. But you were liberated before, because if not so, there will be two Shivas. One before in bondage and another Shiva free. There are some cases, theory about this, is many Shivas. Some Shivas liberated, other Shivas in bondage. But no, it's only one. And if bondage is like a veil, yes, some philosophers postulate that it's a veil, like a veil, covering. So when you get liberation, you remove the veil, yes, but where is the veil going to? If all is one. So it's not a veil. It's a way of speaking, no? It's you. You don't want anymore. You say, no, I don't play this game anymore. Finish. Play another. The same way when you are living with your parents, yes, and one day you say, okay, I want to be independent. I don't want to live with my parents anymore. It's finished. Oh, it's a lot of crime, maybe, daga, changes. But then you have your own life. And you continue your life. It's the same like this. Shiva moves. But it's very rare happening, this liberation. It's different. But it's possible. But first you need to desire liberation. Then you can get. After getting, you realize that you were liberated already, but after. Before it's only theory, because in practice you feel bored. Understand? Okay, another question?
Guruji, all the schools, Spanda, Krama, Pradīpaka, all these schools, what are their origins?
Well, it's a long story. In the blog I explain on this. I will read for you so we can enjoy, because my memory sometimes fail, But it's all the story of every lineage. I don't have such a good memory like Lahmana Joe yet for all the story. And the story I dislike too, yes, but people like stories. Okay, so I will give you a story. In time and space, yes. The blog is full of teaching, yes, but many people don't realize yet, yes. They're all the time with the main website. Force School of Trika. So I will read this and I will explain. Question. Is Trika non-dual Shaivism or Kashmir? You read this? You didn't read this article?
Only the website, not the...
I read the blog. Is Trika non-dual Shaivism of Kashmir only one school, or is it composed of several schools? So, answer. What everybody calls Trika now, that is non-dual Shaivism of Kashmir, is a result of the formidable task accomplished by the greatest master of Trika of all time, Abhinavagupta. Abhinavagupta is said to have lived for 50 years on this little planet, approximately from 975 to 1025 Anno Domini. Before him, Trika didn't exist as such, as people know it now, but in the form of four schools of non-dual Shaivism that share many common points but differ in some aspects. It was Abhinavagupta who managed to accomplish the titanic task of unifying those four schools through his writing. What are the names of those schools? Their names are Spanda, Pratyabhijna, Kaula or Kula, Krama. Of course, there are several optional appellatives too. For example, the Krama school is also known as Maharta or Mahanaya, the great meaning. And Kaula is also called Kula or Kaula Tantricism. The last great exponent of Trika, Swami Lakshmanaju, has explained this subject matter in detail in the past. So you can go to his videos, and books. So, question. Could you explain the main characteristic of each school to me? Yes, it's very simple. Also, it's a joke. In fact, complete study of each of those schools takes decades. In my case, I could say that I'm preponderantly knowledgeable about the Spanda school, although I am decently familiar with other schools too. And Krama system is the one I know the least at present. And continue like this now. Because I wrote this when? 2016? No, I wrote in 2012. 5 years ago. My knowledge about Trika goes from Spanda to Krama schools in the following order. Spanda, Pratyabhijna, Kaula or Kula, and Krama. The reason for this being mostly that the scripture about the Spanda and Pratyabhijna system were available for me in the late 80s when I started my study of Trika. I was able to read about Kaula only in the 2000s, along with a little information about Krama at that time as well. And I have been studying this for school for the last 27 years at that time. Yes, it's 1989, now it's 28 years. 28 years, huh? Yes. 29, 99, 29, 28 years. I put 27, so the last year I wrote this, but no, I don't read. I distort the number to keep the date and 16 because I moved the blog from another platform to this platform. I made many changes. So really was okay. 27 years. I about 4 hours a day average. Completely devoted to Trika since 1989. 4 hours every day average. Completely devoted to Trika. 28 years. So it's hard. Now it's more, 4 hours. According to my calculation, as I had to study other systems along with Sanskrit grammar too and practice meditation, etc. So I dedicated around 8 hours since 1989 and before too, in 1985 started her. Apparently it's not a lot of time, yes, a lot of time. But if you consider that in my country it takes 6 years to get a degree in medicine, you can see that my studies comprise 4.5 medicine careers. So it's complicated. I'm telling you this for you to understand the magnitude of these 4 schools. Anyway, I'm better in Spanda and a little bit in Pratyabhijna and a little bit in Kaula and almost nothing in Krama. On all this year, so imagine be master of all. The quantity of knowledge is displayed by them is simply brutal. At present, my translation work, for example, is taking 8 to 10 hours of my day, since while I translate, I have to investigate many other things too, and enter into trances in order to fully understand hidden meaning. So be patient and never become disappointed you run into some problems while you study. Trika, please, because it's absolutely massive. I personally consider that even an entire human life is not long enough as to study all these 4 schools in depth. Most of the Trika disciples around the world are in the same position, namely, they know Trika but predominantly one of its schools. With one of these schools, you can perfectly attain final liberation. I have no doubt about it. But to get knowledge about the other 3 schools is always important to fully understand Trika philosophy as a whole. Besides, one could be following a school that is not appropriate for his nature, and after obtaining knowledge about all 4 schools, could choose another one instead. Yes, I'm simplifying things, but for the time being, this way of explaining the processes is more than enough. The first school I will explain to you is Spanda. Who founded it? Yes, question. Answer. Despite the fact that you can find it in 2 ancient tantras, Vijnana Bhairava, which is a portion of the great Rudra Yamala Tantra, And in the 6th chapter of Swachanda Tantra, you can find Spanda school there. Swachanda Tantra, great Tantra. This school was formally founded by Vasugupta, the sage which received the Shiva Sutras from the great Lord. Vasugupta laid the foundation of this school by means of his superb Spandakarikas. Next, Sheikh Shemaraja, the main disciple of Abhinavagupta, composed Spanda-nirnaya. I'm translating now the Spanda-nirnaya, it's in the main website. His supreme commentary on Vasugupta's Spandakarikas, which firmly established the Spanda school. What does the word Spanda mean? It comes from the root spand, which means to vibrate, throb, palpitate, etc. So Spanda may be accordingly translated as vibration, throb, pulsation, etc. This school is called so because all of its studies are based on movement, as it were. By movement, the Spanda school is not referring to physical or mental movement, but to the supreme movement known as Shakti, the power of the great Lord. Shakti is this constant pulsation of consciousness that keeps the entire universe alive and kicking. For example, you look at one object and Shakti moves and appears through her group of powers, Shakti Chakra, as knowable, the object, knowledge, the person perceiving such an object, and the knower, the limited individual who is looking at the object. All that is invented by Shakti by means of her group of powers. Next, when you move your attention to another object, Shakti moves again. Moves, yes, as it were, and appears as the new set of knowables, knowledge and knower. In the gap to be found between both perceptions, as you move your attention from the first object to the second object, the great Lord shines in his full glory. Since Spanda, Shakti, here in the gap is totally absorbed in its own essential nature, in the great Lord himself. Spanda school teaches you how to focus your attention on these gaps, and not on the object themselves, as ordinary people do almost all the time. In this sentence, the Spanda school has predominance of Shakti, because you are using her, of Shakti, yes, viewpoint, the viewpoint of Shakti during your practice. As it is obvious, this school is based on upayas or means, methods for you to attain final liberation. These means are explained by me in depth on the main website, beginning with document meditation 1. I generally like to call the Spanda school traditional Trika. Yes, it's a term only used by me, evidently. The reason for me calling the Spanda school like that lies in the fact that it's the most commonly known, at least in the West. It has to do with Vasugupta discovering the Shiva Sutras and writing a running commentary on them, Spandakarikas, and it has to do with upayas or means, methods to get final liberation. It is related to the well-known Parabhairavayoga scripture that describes 112 meditation technique, etc. So, I call the Spanda school traditional Trika for all these reasons. The next school, Pratyabhijna, has predominance of Shiva. Why? Because it uses the Shiva's viewpoint instead, and as a result, there is no upaya or means involved in the process. No upaya. Not even Shamba upaya. But yes, sages such as Shemaraja have prescribed some methods to help the aspirant whose spiritual grip is not strong enough as to keep Shiva's viewpoint at will. Any place, at will, at any place and at any moment. I will speak about this in a moment. First, I need to explain something about the story behind this school. This school, Pratyabhijna, it appeared in the early Kali Yuga, around 5,000 years ago, for the first time, but it was founded again by the sage Svāmī, the celebrated author of Shiva Drishti, the viewpoint of Shiva, in the late 8th century Anno Domini. He was also the guru of Paladeva, the disciple who firmly established this school by means of his celebrated Ishvara Pratyabhijna, the great scripture that explained the Pratyabhijna system in detail. In turn, Utpaladeva was the guru of Lakshmana Gupta, and Lakshmana Gupta was one of the 12 gurus of the sublime Abhinavagupta. The Pratyabhijna school, being based on an upaya, no means, no method at all, it's only intended for great disciples who have found a great guru. The word Pratyabhijna means recognition. Question: recognition of what? Answer. Recognition of one's own self, Shiva. The process taught by this school is not based on space and time, as in the case of the expanded school, because recognition of your essential nature, of your own self, is independent from place and time. That is, you must recognize your divinity in any place and at any moment. In a grocery. Now, I'm Shiva. You understand? But this school places emphasis on Shiva Tattva, transcendental. You're in the grocery, yes, right? I'm Shiva. You need the capacity to do this. That's why it's a very demanding school. You understand? Great disciple. Again, in this school is propelled, yes, is pushed by grace only. So not only you as a disciple must be very great, but your guru must also be that great, because your enlightenment is completely powered by Shiva's grace, channeled through him. In short, it's your guru who, being pleased with you, channels his grace for you, and in this way you can instantly recognize your own essential nature in any place and at any time without using any technique or method. When you realize you are the self, Shiva, you also realize you have always realized him. You have always realized him. There is nothing to be done apart from that, which is generally disheartening to most people in the West, because this is the land of egos, the supposed doers. Yes. Besides, this school implies total obedience towards the guru, or he will not be pleased with the disciple, and massive grace bestowal will not happen. Then, as a result, in the West, the land of the individuals endowed with illusory freedom, having to fully obey a guru is also a great obstacle. Hence, this school could not flourish in this zone, yes, in this area of the planet called the West, at least not as much as the expanded school could. The main scripture dealing with pratyabhijna or recognition of the self is undoubtedly Ishvara Pratyabhijna by Utpaladeva, but its subtleties require a very powerful intellect indeed. Compassionate Kshemaraja summarized the contents of Ishvara Pratyabhijna in his Pratyabhijna Hridayam. He wrote a commentary on his own Pratyabhijna Hridayam too, in which he explains some techniques, although the Pratyabhijna school uses no technique. An example of such technique is contemplation of the five-fold act performed by Shiva in oneself. Remember, I was speaking about it? Which helps an aspirant recognize his own self. Kshemaraja did so for the sake of compassion, as he could understand that the quality of the disciple was generally not elevated enough at his time as to cope with the requirements of this school. The quality of the discipleship has continued to worsen during last centuries. At present, one can behold in the West tons of disciples following some guy only because he wears a robe, has a sweet smile on his face, and is from India, obviously. Apparently, if a guru is not from India, or at least has traveled to India, I have been asked that many times, and I have been even recommended to travel to India to get more spiritual punch. No joke. Going to have more punch, spiritual punch. He's of low quality, yes. Thank God I traveled to India 2 times, so now I have good quality. So you don't travel to India in the West, yes? You are of low quality according to their mind. All in all, it seems that Shiva lives in India only, but I thought that he was everywhere. Oh, these miserable disciples and gurus are, in a nutshell, laughably stupid. As the conditions are currently like that in the West, it's no surprise that the Pratyabhijna school has not flourished here for the most part. The dimension of spiritual ignorance is as immense as Shakti herself, the one generating ignorance. I have no doubt about it. What about the Kaula school or Kula school? The Kaula school is based in Kula or totality. All in all, you learn to realize your own essential nature at any level, whether it is the highest or the lowest. That is what is meant by totality. You can realize the self even in the middle of full ignorance, and vice versa. In the middle of full knowledge. The difference between this school and the Pratyabhijna school lies in the fact that the latter, the Pratyabhijna, teaches you to realize yourself in Shiva Tattva, transcendental, only. That is in the pinnacle, pinnacle. No, pinnacle no. Pinnacle. Or pinnacle, or pinnacle. Pinnacle. No, it's tremendous. English with the spelling is a pest. Pinnacle. Oh, well, look at it. Pináculo. In Spanish, more simple. Pináculo. So only, that is, you realize yourself only in Shiva Tattva. In Pradīpaka school, only in this Shiva, like this. It's like a rock, just watching up. In the first category, in the pinnacle. While the former, the Kaula school or Kula school, teaches you to realize yourself in both Shiva Tattva, the first category, and Prithivi Tattva, the category 36, the lowest one, in all the categories. Study the Tattvic chart, okay, in the main ways for more information. For that reason, the Kaula or Kula school uses Paramashiva's viewpoint. Paramashiva is the sum of Shiva and Shakti, and much more too. Hence, Paramashiva pervades the entire universe, from the highest to the lowest, while simultaneously being beyond the universe. Also, the Kaula school is called so because it teaches you to see the totality, the Kula, of the universe, contained even in the smallest particle. So, the smallest particle of something is full Paramashiva. So you can discover him in any place. Anyway, there is another translation for the word Kula, besides totality. Means family. What do you mean by family? Do you mean my family? No, I'm joking. No, I'm not referring to the usual family composed of a mother, father, children, no. But to the group of knower, knowledge, and means of knowledge, and knowable. The three, yes. The famous Kula. And the goddess presiding this Kula, this knower, knowledge, or means of knowledge together, knowledge and means of knowledge, and knowable, the object. What is the goddess presiding this Kula? A famous goddess mentioned by Abhinavagupta in his, Paratrishika Lagubriti. No. Kula Kaulini. The famous Kaulini. You heard about Kaulini? Well, so it's not so famous. And this knower, knowledge, means of knowledge, and knowable, also known as subject, perception, means of perception, and object. This is the sacred family, or Kula, because it's everywhere. Everywhere, when you are where you are, except in Paramashiva, you have knower, object, and the connection. Yes, the mind and the senses perceive. So, the system dealing with all that is related to this family is accordingly termed Kaula. There are also other possible meanings of Kula, such as the spiritual family composed of Guru, Guru's power, and his disciple, or Shakti, or power of the Lord, etc. Oh well, this subject is really long and very often extremely difficult to understand. Kaula school requires disciples of certain caliber, as its practices are generally very elevated. For example, Shambhavopaya, or spiritual enlightenment through the sexual act, etc. If the aspirant is not fit for such practices, he will not be able to maintain them and end up failing. This is one of the reasons why Kaula has not flourished in the West either, where aspirants are of disappointing quality, to say the least. I was at that time in a mood very terrible about the disciples in the West. One can see Kaula in all its glory in Paratrishika Varana and in Paratrishika Lagubriti. Yes, I was mentioning with Kaulini. Abhinavagupta's long and short commentaries on Paratrishika, the last portion of Rudrayamala. Who founded the Kaula school? Sri Machandanatha in the early 5th century Anno Domini. But by the 9th century Anno Domini, his teaching had been so distorted that the sage Sumatinatha had to refound it. This sage had a disciple, Somanatha, and Somanatha had in turn a great disciple called Shambhunatha, who was the Kaula guru of the great Abhinavagupta. As I mentioned previously, Shambhunatha is recognized by Abhinavagupta as his main guru. He had 12 gurus, but his main guru was Shambhunatha. So you only have one, not good quality. You need 12. I'm joking. And as I mentioned previously, Abhinavagupta had 12 gurus, Shambhunatha being the main one according to some authors. This would imply that Abhinavagupta was mainly a follower of the Kaula school then. And I'm mainly a follower of the Spanda school. Yes, that's why maybe we have some differences with Abhinavagupta. So only one school is left to be described. The question, yes? Yes, that is the Krama school. The word Krama means succession, sequence, series, etc. This school is called so because it teaches that all the processes of perception go through 12 stages. The system mentioned the names of 12 goddesses known as Kalis. Each of these Kalis is associated with one of the 12 stages of the perceptual process. The Kaula Pratyabhijna schools are beyond space and time, but the Krama school is not. Why? Because there is Krama or succession of 12 goddesses or stages in one perception, all of which is displayed in space and time accordingly. For example, if I see a tree, my perception goes to the trees and returns from the tree. So there is a space and time. This is explanation. While Kaula and Pratyabhijna demand instant Shivāhood or Paramashivāhood. Yes, so you don't see anything. Yes, you are like this and chuck, stay. Please, stay. No distance, because you are not concentrating on anything like in Kram. Yes, this school lets an aspirant to the non-dual reality where space and time are absent, but its methods are based on space and time though. Could you name those 12 goddesses? Question. This is the better questioner, yes, than you, this guy. Look at the question. Yes, the name of the first two goddesses were declared by Kshemaraja in his Spanda Nirnaya, chapter 1, aphorism 1, the commentary. Kshemaraja declared that. Remember, yes? Oh, yes. While he wrote the first interpretation of the compound Shakti Chakra Vibhava Parabhavan, to be found in the first stanza of Spanda Karika. He said the following regarding the group of powers, Shakti Chakra. He said, Shaktinam Srishti Raktadi Marichi Devinam Chakram Dwadashatma Samuhastasya Yobhibhava Udyoga Vabhavasana Chararvarna Vilapanatma Kridaram Barastasya Prabhavam Hetum. Now a first interpretation of the compound Shakti Chakra Vibhava Prabhavam, because many interpretations, yes, this compound in the first aphorism of Spanda Karika. The group of powers appearing in the form of the luminous goddesses, such as Srishti, Rakta, yes, it's mentioned in the goddesses, the Krama system. Srishti, Rakta, etc. Other 10 goddesses. The first goddess he mentioned, the first goddess, etc. is an aggregate consisting of 12 deities. That is of that aggregator group. Its Vibhava is, according to this first interpretation, the immensity of the play whose nature is creative activity, maintenance, reabsorption, and concealment. And Prabhava is its cause. There, the sages given the name of the first two Kalis, Srishti and Rakta. Now I will give you the name of all the 12 Kalis controlling any process or perception. Then 4 for the knowable or object, 4 goddesses. 4 for the knowledge and means of knowledge or perception. And 4 for the subject himself, the knower or perceiver, respectively. For the knowable or object, Srishti Kali, Rakta Kali, Stitinasha Kali, Yama Kali. For knowledge and means of knowledge or perception, Samhara Kali, Mrityu Kali, Bhadra Kali or Rudra Kali, Martanda Kali. For the subject, the knower or perceiver, Paramarka Kali, Kalagni Rudra Kali, Maha Kala Kali, Mahabhairavayoga Chanda Kali, or the same name, Mahabhairava Chandogra Ghora Kali. The fourth goddess in each of the 3 groups, object, knowledge, means of knowledge, and subject, is the unmentionable, the unspeakable aspect, anakhya, of the previous 3 goddesses. That is, she makes the products of those 3 goddesses unmentionable, unspeakable. I will explain this soon, be patient. Therefore, the fourth goddess is always indefinable regarding the previous three goddesses. For instance, in the group related to the subject, the knower or perceiver, Paramarkakali is the goddess that dissolves one's ego, Ahankara, Tattva or category 15, in Purusha, individual soul, Tattva or category 12. Next, Kalagni Rudra Kali is the goddess that dissolves the individual soul, Purusha, Tattva or category 12, also known as Kalagni Rudra. This is Kalagni Rudra. In Shiva, residing in the Tattvas or categories 3, 4, and 5. In the Shiva of these categories, yes, in Sadashiva, Ishvara, and Savidya. Sadashiva, Ishvara, and Savidya. Namely, in the three Tattvas where Shiva dwells in full unity with the incipient universe. This means that Kalagni Rudra Kali is the goddess allowing a living individual, an individual soul, to be overcome the primordial impurity, Arnavamala, situated between the Tattvas 5 and 6. After that, the goddess called Mahakalakali dissolves Shiva, residing in Tattva 3 to 5 in pure Shiva. In Shiva dwelling in Tattva 1 only, beyond even the incipient universe. Finally, the fourth goddess, Parabhairavayogasaṁsthāpanapracodanam, appears as the one who contains all the previous three goddesses and their products, Purusha, Shiva in Tattva 3 to 5 and pure Shiva. But at the same time, she makes all that anakhya, unmentionable, unspeakable. That is, when you are in the fourth goddess, in Mahabhairavayogasaṁsthāpanapracodanam, you cannot name, mention Purusha, Shiva in Tattva 3 to 5 and pure Shiva in Tattva 1, because your state is that of Paramashiva, the Supreme Shiva, which is beyond description in words. All in all, the state of Paramashiva is called with the name of a goddess in the Krama system, Mahabhairavayogasaṁsthāpanapracodanam. This is the state of Paramashiva. Besides, this goddess is not only transcending the three goddesses, Paramarka Kali, Kalagni Rudra Kali, and Mahakala Kali, but she also engulfs all the previous 11 goddesses at the same time, because Paramashiva is not only beyond all the tattvas or categories, since he is also present in each of them simultaneously. This is obvious from the very name of the last goddess in all the tattvas. Mahabhairavayogasaṁsthāpanapracodanam Kali means Mahabhairava. It stands for the subject or knower. Gora, it stands for the knowledge and means of knowledge or perception. And Chanda, it stands for, yes, it represents the knowable or object, Kali. So, in the name it's described that he engulfs everything. Okay, it's enough. The questioner, I have a headache. This is grammar. Answer. That's why I told you before that knowledge contained in this forest school is simply brutal. Now you can understand that I was not exaggerating, and that was just a mere sample of what the Krama school has to give you regarding spiritual knowledge. And it is very obvious. This school uses Shakti's viewpoint. Who founded the Krama school? Although it existed even in the early Kali Yuga, around 5,000 years ago, due to the efforts of the great sage Durvasas, it was refounded by Ekakanatha, also known as another name for Ekakanatha, Shivanandanatha, because you are reading. What a knowledge. In the late 7th century, Anno Domini, this sage initiated only 3 disciples, who were women, Keyuravati, Madanika, and Kalyanika. It's a famous women in Trika Shaivism. Keyuravati, Madanika, and Kalyanika. Hence, the Krama system is sometimes known as a female system or something like this. Since these 3 gurus or female gurus were very famous and extremely knowledgeable about the Krama school. Anyway, they had also men among their disciples. So, will you make a final summary of the first Trika school? Okay, it is as follows. Expanda school. It uses Shakti viewpoint. It's by far the most famous school out of the 4, at least in the West. It's also the most accessible school for Western students who are always desirous of learning techniques, methods to realize themselves. I call it traditional Trika, as I told you before. Pratyabhigya school uses Shiva's viewpoint. It requires a very powerful intellect to understand all the intricacies contained in the main scripture of this system. No doubt about it. Moreover, both a great guru and a great disciple are indispensable, as all of its processes have to do with grace bestowal. The disciple practices no method or technique, but he rather receives Shiva's grace through his guru and attains spiritual enlightenment instantly and in any place, at any time. Kaula school uses Paramashiva's viewpoint. Though the processes in the Kaula system are like those of the Pradīpaka system beyond space and time, this school uses method of Shambhavapaya, sexual tantra, etc. As you can see, its methods are really elevated and not fit for all the students. This school can give you much, but at the same time, it demands much. That is, it requires disciples of high caliber. There is a typo. To practice certain Kaula method without the adequate fitness could even be very dangerous. No jokes. Krama school. It uses Shakti's viewpoint. Instead of using tattvas or categories to describe the process of perception, this school uses 12 goals. The Krama system moves in space and time, but finally leads to Paramashiva, like the previous three schools, obviously, who is beyond space and time. Very good. This has been a succinct exposition. Succinct. I don't know. Written like this. Now you want to. Succinct exposition about the four schools of non-dual Shaivism of Kashmir, also known as Trika. As I mentioned before, these four schools were unified into what we call today Trika by Venerable Abhinavagupta, the greatest Trika master ever, through his writing, especially Tantraloka. I have paid obeisance. Yes, obeisance. Obeisance. Oh, so strange word. A little old. I was evidently old at the time. Obeisance. I have paid obeisance to him and his word by this short post. This post was only read 115 times. Only. Next they asked me a question by email, but it's a blog. The blog. The main website and the blog. A lot of noise. What is it? Some mosquito? Mosquito like this? What? So we're in the middle of Mother Nature, yes, with mosquitoes, snakes, dangerous snakes. The other day we crossed a black crate that can kill you in 5 hours if you are not assisted by doctors. So we're surviving, yes, more or less well. My disciple had an encounter with some snake, but they grabbed the snake by the tail, yes, and remove the snake without any problem. Fear in the middle of the night, because obviously they are hunting in the night, the snake. Yes? During the day it's very hot, so in general they move in the night. It's fresh, they can. And a lot of holes with the snake around here, and we have a snake, we have other snake, cobras, we have cobras, viper maybe, not sure. Vipers are lethal, cobras are lethal, and crates are lethal. So we are very happy. Thank God, leopards, no leopard, but we have some cages with leopards around, it's empty. And mosquitoes with the size of a dinosaur. So we're very happy. Incredibly, I was never scared of, incredibly, it's a joke, but I was never very worried about it. But it's dangerous, because a snake in your living room can be something scary. And what to do with this? That's why I have a stick or something just in case, yes, but you never have a stick. Grab a branch, create a stick just in case, because how to move this? Expert grab by the tail. Expert, have to be an expert, yes, because they know that they cannot jump, yes, to bite. It's long, but you have to be an expert. Better don't do it, because maybe jumps. With the stick you can grab the snake by the head, yes. But next, how to release? Because can bite you, yes, when you release. So complicated. So you need some like this. The stick with the tack to grab it. Because if enters, you have to remove. How? Yes, with a stick. Okay, and with how it's steel balls. Stick and steel balls to remove. It's very dangerous. It's lethal. And around here, the nearest center is 6 kilometers, and we don't have transportation, so we have to move the person. So this is life in India, yes, with all the danger. Okay, and all the noise and celebration there. This is it. But people live around very comfortably, apparently, with all the snakes. Yes, I don't know how. They are very brave. Okay, cobras. Cobras are very dangerous and aggressive. Cobras. The crate, no. Yes, the crate is escaping. The crate escaping. Fear. Shy. Thank God. Because the bite of the crate is it's like a mosquito, very soft. So sometimes you don't notice that you are bitten and you dilate. Paralysis in your lungs. You cannot breathe. And you cannot see and you cannot speak. So it's not nice to have this danger around you. You cannot see, you cannot speak, and you cannot run too, because imagine I'm bitten. Yes, I run to the center 6 kilometers. When I arrive there, I'm already dead. Because in the blood, it spreads faster the poison. So the person cannot move fast, has to be transported by somewhere, somehow. Now we have a person here, a little fat. So we have to pray for her not to be bitten ever, yes, because if we have to move her, we'll die. She's all the time laughing because she realized my intention, all the time realizing. So how to move? With a helicopter maybe. I did. 6 kilometers, so it's disheartening. This 6 kilometers, you kill me. 6 kilometers, you kill me. And we don't have cars now yet because it's broke or some problem. Okay. Have to call it taxi something. Okay. Because you take those buses around, you die faster. You take the bus and you die faster. You die in the bus. And some terrifying buses. Okay. 4 minutes. Question? What's a good discourse? All this knowledge is there. People never read. All the time asking me, oh, what is that? Could you give me more information by email? No, it's in the website, in the blog. Short question? You can ask me, what's the meaning of all that? Okay, I can't, because I have to repeat all again. I have a disciple a little slow. What's the meaning of all that? I have to repeat all the articles. Shiva, like this joke in India, yes, sorry, nice Ramayana, but who is Sita? I have it out. Nice Ramayana lecture, but who is Sita?
Ramayana push Ram for
Who is Ram and Sita?
Rama has finished, now he is asking who is Rama.
Who is Rama? Who is Valmiki? Who is that? It's the author of Ramayana. Now I understand. Okay, now we'll chant Om Namo Bhagavate Nityānanda. Yes, and next break. For now, it's Om Namah Shivāya.